high-grade companies that are digitally focused, like the ones outside here, which represent all of you, are incredibly strong at technology and math, but are wildly under-delivering on the current state of marketing in our world, and that variable added to what you already do well actually gives you the leverage you're looking for in a million different ways. If you're raising capital, it's a hell of a lot better that you have brand and are known or have some consumer demand, not just what your numbers look like on your Excel or pro forma. When you are doing very heavy math-based marketing and converting, the more consumers that have actually heard of your business outside of the ad or the affiliate will convert at a much higher level, thus driving down your cost of customer acquisition. Taking a step back for everyone who's sitting here, very simply put, no matter how big or small your company is in this room, I believe that most of the companies in this room need to be producing somewhere in the ballpark of 15 to 30 social media posts a day. 15 to 30 a day across Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube Shorts, and on and on. The reality is the reason I believe this to be true is because of the single biggest elephant in the room right now, which is for the last decade, the amount of strategy that has gone into the pictures and videos that are posted daily by companies in social media has been very low. The reason so many people continue to underestimate social media is because most people that do it don't have a strong enough strategy to defend or define why it's valuable to a business. When you post good morning on Twitter, it's nice, but how overtly strategic is it? It's okay, but it can't be your post for the day. What we continue to have, similar to what we had in the 1960s with television. I'm going to give you a very good history lesson. Somewhere around the mid-1960s, there was a small group of very big companies in the US that realized there was a lot more opportunity on television if they were smarter about it, and if they ran those ads aggressively with thought, mascots, taglines, more often during shows that were watched more often, that their businesses would grow. Today, the biggest consumer products in the world continue to be brands that strategically invested properly on television from the 1960s to 1980s. We find ourselves in a very similar place with social media today. To me, if I came here and said, hey, social media marketing, it really works, it's a good idea, that's one thing. I don't expect people here to go back home and recalibrate how much money they're spending against it. But when you start realizing it directly is going to impact your P&L, your profit margins, your day-to-day, it starts becoming a very different conversation. And all of a sudden, the concept of investing in actual people that know how to write, know how to take photos, know how to make videos for these platforms becomes a much bigger conversation. To me, having internal capabilities or external partners producing 15, 30, 50 pieces of content a day for social media across 7 platforms is no longer becoming a nice to have, is no longer becoming something you may want to consider. For me, I would rather do that than be good at balancing my checkbook. That's how important this has become. And it is important for every brand in the world, but this industry, and when I say this industry, I mean really iGaming globally and how the whole infrastructure works and how people are getting their customers. I think the clock is going to strike midnight faster than people think. And I think the percentages of the application is going to go in the referrers' favor, not the commoditized games' favor. And I think you have to move fast on this. And so it's a double-edged sword because there's a lot of people who are on the affiliate side driving traffic. They've got to get better at their part too. because it's just arbitrage. It's just arbitrage all the way through. And so what does this really all mean that's tangible? A couple things. One, and this is really interesting because this is such a global audience. The level of talent in the following places where the cost for that talent is quite attractive, but the talent of knowing how to make the pictures, videos, and written words for social are very strong are the following. I'm blown away by the talent in Eastern Europe as a whole for the ability to make creative for social. APAC. I think many parts of Southeast Asia, the cost of the talent in return for the video work and the pictures and the written word are incredible. Bless you. For the people in this audience, if you are taking what I'm saying right now seriously, before you go home and make a video, understanding how you're gonna do it sustainably, at scale, long term is very important. What I believe all of you will face the second you go down that path is you're gonna figure out how to afford it. How are you gonna afford it? And the reason I bring up the talent around the world, because this is such a global audience, is because there are certain pockets of the world where the creative talent matches the average income, and there are some real opportunities, and that is the place I would start first. However, for everyone in this room, whether you're a salesperson, whether you're in crypto, whether you do whatever you do, for you to personally take a step back and get educated on what this all means, this will continue to be more and more important. Because you do understand, as AI comes into our world over the next 20 years, a lot of the making of this stuff will become commoditized. But the thinking of the ideas, the setting up of critical thinking of what you're going to make people jump in, is incredibly important. I'm gonna jump off of this topic for a second, but I'm gonna touch on it with the next thing I'm gonna say. When I think about what are the things that are needed to be successful in life, there's a lot of things that come to mind. A lot of what I think about is self-esteem and genuinely being, in a good place with yourself, because you won't put yourself out there at the level you need to if you're insecure. And so I think a lot about self-esteem and self-love and a lot of other stuff. But the word that I want to talk about that has a lot to do with the first half of this keynote with everybody here is the word curiosity. The thing that I would ask so many people to ask themselves about where they are in their own journey of curiosity is very important because of what's looming in our society. What I just talked about was a very narrow thing in marketing that I know would impact every single person here, which is why I chose to speak about it, because I want this to be as valuable to every person here as possible. The mental human perspective that I would ask everybody to really lean into here and ask themselves where they are is the word curiosity. And let me tell you why. I think everybody here can probably sense that this Web 3.0, last year we defined Web 3.0 as crypto and NFTs. But I challenge that concept and I say, let's take a step back and realize Web 3.0 probably encompasses a lot more things. For me personally, it encompasses AR. For me personally, it even encompasses something that's been around for a long time, like QR codes, because I think it's a new functionality in pipes that matters for everyone here. It definitely involves VR, and we know that, and it clearly involves AI, which is going to be such a big deal. We, me included, we're very stuck in what we're doing right now. Meanwhile, this is probably the biggest era of change coming up since the invention of the iPhone accelerated social media in a profound way. I have a feeling that a lot of people here, you're not sure exactly every aspect, none of us are, but I have a feeling everybody can feel here that the next 20 years shit's gonna look a little bit different. That between AI and AR and VR and decentralized servers, like it just feels like it's not the status quo that the last 15 years are. In that will be some of the biggest opportunities that you will ever see in your entire life. In this next era, like my life changed when it was changing with social media and the iPhone in that 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9 era, it's very clear, and I have a feeling a lot of people here can sense it, that these next 6 or 7 years, there's just gonna be a lot of opportunity, a lot of craziness. We saw it last year with NFT land. At, the first half of the year, I'm like, yay, yay, yay. The second half of the year, all my videos were 99% of these are going to zero because everybody got so crazy and they let greed take over. That still doesn't mean that decentralized servers aren't going to be a dramatic part of our lives. Just because the value of collectibles collapsed doesn't mean NFTs are not going to be, and smart contracts are not going to be a meaningful part of our world. The same thing happened with Web 1.0. In 1997 and 1998, every internet company that went public was worth $1 billion with zero revenue. All of those stocks collapsed. But it didn't mean that the internet was not going to be one of the biggest inventions of our time. That's just blockchain. That's not even mentioning what's going on in AI. And in the last year, everybody here has been affected and blown away by Jasper or Midjourney or ChatGPT. All of us have tasted real AI, not fake AI like we were for the last 7 years, and it really caught everyone's attention. These things are going to converge together at scale. And so I ask all of you, please do not leave this conference without asking yourself, how curious are you? If you can fall in love with the concept of maybe, when faced with somebody telling you something you've never heard about before, or something new in your journey, which will be consistent for the rest of our lives with technology, if you meet that new genre, that new platform, that new technology with the concept of maybe, you will have a much greater chance to get out of the world what you want. And so I argue at scale that one of the biggest things to lean into within your own body going into the next decade is finding out for yourself, with yourself, where do you sit with curiosity? Are you a curious person or are you not? And how do you develop more curiosity? For me, the way I built more curiosity was I started surrounding myself with people that were more curious. And so I challenge you to really think about this because it will really matter. When people ask me things like, hey, break it down for me. Why did things work for you? What worked? I think about a lot of things, work ethic, like a lot of stuff that I'm sure you've heard a million times. But one thing that always comes up that I don't think people think enough about is I did a very good job in this exact setting when I was doing what you're doing right now in 2005, 6, and 7, when I wasn't on stage, when I was trying to come and learn. And I had the self-confidence of being able to network because I love people and I wasn't offended if someone did not want to speak to me. I didn't have the ego. I had the humility to be able to have somebody say no or look at my badge and see, back then my badge said wine library. So most people looked, they didn't say Google or Microsoft, and they had no interest in talking to me. That was their fucking mistake. So I asked you when I go on this little 3-minute rant and try to encourage all of you to get high value out of this conference, which is, I hope there's 1 to 3 things I said that might put you into action. Everything I said, I really believe in so much. And I do believe they're 2 of the most important things you can be thinking about right now. But I promise you, whether I started you on the path of curiosity, whether I said something compelling where you realized it's fucking time to finally get serious about social media, creative, and media, neither will be as important as what I'm finishing with here is now. for as long as you decide to stay at this conference for the rest of this conference. And I know a lot of you are introverted. I get it. But if you can push yourself to literally say hello to people. My random hellos led to me being an early investor in Twitter at South by Southwest. I mean it.